Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the Americano Grassroots Revolution podcast. I am here with my friend Angie Ferra-Perez from San Fernando. Angie, would you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
First of all, thank you for having me. I feel honored. I'm excited. My name is Angie Ferra-Perez. Born and raised in California, in the city of San Fernando. Uh, uh, Married, three kids, and I just love. I loved growing up the way I did with the parents that I had, and it really saddens me to see what's going on now with
Yes.
what's happening with our state, and even more so. Uh, um, I grew up speaking both languages. My dad only spoke English. My mom only spoke Spanish. I was blessed that way.
Okay, so Angie, now we have Prop 50. We have everybody receiving their ballots right now. They should look like this. My husband at his mom's house, they received about 15 of these, even though there was one person living there. And that guy goes to show you how corrupt and messed up and how much our voter polls, our voter elections need to be cleaned up. And so, and right now we have a lot of people discussing this Prop 50. It's very important. This will change a lot. Right now, the Democrats are completely in control of California. They have control of the assembly, the state senate. They are in control of the governorship, the mayorship. So right now, we want to discuss a lot of Prop 50, and Angie's very good with bilingual, so she will translate some of the information in bilingual. So Angie, give me your take on the Prop 50, and we'll kind of just dive into this.
Yeah, what concerns me the most is message that's being said to how it's being discussed
Mhm.
amongst the Latino community.
Yes.
Okay, uh, it is being, of course, it is being. I'm sorry, you guys. Of course, it is being portrayed as it hindering or changing the districts to where it's going to harm the Latino community or the minority community. And what it is that what Californians don't remember, which was because it was such a long time ago, is we have a commission. A commission was created
Yes.
to do the redistricting, and
Yes.
this commission was made up of people from the state of California, from all means, from all walks. There is a committee there, and it was created so we could have so it could be fair.
Yes.
And now what they're trying to do basically is just take it away, and that's what I think that is not being told to the Latino
Yes.
community.
Exactly. Well, in 2010, it was the California voters that decided that they didn't trust our politicians. Most people don't trust politicians. And so, like you said, they voted, it's called the Voters First Act for Congress. And it's Prop 20, Voters First Act for Congress. And it was us, we the people that voted for this because we did not trust politicians. We took this out of the politicians' hands to redistrict, and so we left it up to this committee to decide how they want to cut up um, uh, all the districts and to make it more fair. And so what Gavin Newsom is doing is he's single-handedly decided himself that he was going to go ahead and put this on the ballot. Now, remember that California is $1.6 trillion in debt. And now this is going to cost about almost $300 million. Okay, this is $300 million that we don't have. And this is something that we the people voted for this. And basically what he's saying is because what Texas is doing, that he feels that Texas is gerrymandering the vote over there. And that is really not true. Now, do you know much about that? I don't know how much you know about that.
Well, in Texas, people again, it's little tidbits that are left out are so important.
Right.
In Texas, it was court mandated. It was by a judge. They had to do this
Yes.
redistricting in Texas. It wasn't something that was just done. Just somebody just said, okay, let's change the districts. It
Yes.
was court mandated, and that is something that our governor is not relaying to the citizens here in California.
Exactly.
This commission, Comisión Ciudadana de una Representación Justa. Okay, it was supposed to be fair for everybody. Okay, the districts were supposed to be divided, and what the bad thing about this $300 million bill that it's going to cost us and to add to our deficit is the fact that they want to change it now, and then after the census is done, is change the district lines again.
Yes.
Which is absolutely ridiculous. That is going to cost us another 100 million through $400 million.
Right.
You know, and that's money that we can't afford. That's money that are being taken away from other crucial programs,
Right.
housing, food, education, and it is just a power grab.
Yes.
It is a power grab.
Now, I didn't have the information before. I had to look it up. Harmeet Dillon is Assistant Attorney General. Now, she is the one that wrote the letter to Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, basically letting him know that they've been dividing the district there. It is actually done in a racist way, dividing and keeping the blacks and the Hispanics together in one area and the whites in a different area. And so they call it a racist redistricting. And that's kind of what I heard. And I didn't really think of it in that way. But people can pull this up and Google this information, the letter for Harmeet Dillon. And that basically kind of tells you exactly what was done and how it was done. And Harmeet Dillon in the letter basically is saying that it was an unconstitutional coalition of districts is how she named it. So basically she's saying it was Texas redistricting was done. It was racial gerrymandering is what they called it, racial gerrymandering. So when you look at it, and that this was done already several years ago when this was done.
Right.
And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to correct something that was incorrectly done, and it was done in a racial way. And so when we look at it that way, now we kind of understand that what Governor Newsom is saying is a big fat lie, and basically he's taking our power. We the people, the people that voted, and there was like several $1 million spent on getting this done for us, we the people, and he's undoing it to undermine what should have been corrected a long time ago.
Exactly. California should be a red state.
Yes.
California should be a red state with the amount of voters it should be a red state, but for
Yes.
whatever reason, it just never has. Now, is it corruption? Is it, bad, the ballots?
Yes.
What we just talked about, a person that moved out of California since 2001 and is getting the actual California ballot mailed to their home in Texas.
Right.
If this is just one person, can you
Yes.
imagine the thousands of people that have left
Oh, yeah.
California?
That's just another, well, like what I said about the ballots here, right? I said my husband was getting like 15 of these at his mom's house, and none of those people no longer live there. So this is, again, it's just more, information that, needs to be cleaned up with our election.
Exactly.
And when you're talking about like it should be a red state, well, when people talk about the border, and when people are saying your people, well, number one, if you're an American, your people should be the American citizen. And if you're in Mexico and you're a Mexico citizen, your people should be the Mexican citizen. You shouldn't be a Mexican fighting for the American and calling the Americans your people. Okay, that's wrong. And the same thing here. If you're in America, I don't care what race you are, you're an American, your freedoms come from America, and your opportunities come from America. We should be your people, not a person from another different country, just so we're clear about that. Now, if we go back and we talk about we should be a red state. Now, when we get upset, when conservatives get upset, you have to understand for every 761,000 people, you get a congressional representative and you get an electoral vote. There's a reason why Democrats want illegals here. And the reason is because those are their voters. Those are the people who are voting for Democrats. Because people are fleeing the Democratic Party like no other time,
Exactly.
okay?
Exactly.
They have lost the Hispanic vote. 47% of the Hispanic vote now goes Republican. They have lost half of the black vote. They have lost much of the youth vote because of Turning Point and what Charlie Kirk has done. So if we got for every 761,000 vote, in California, we have at least a couple of million illegals here. That means that we have, for the Democrats, at least 2 to 3 extra congressional representatives for Democrats and electoral seats for Democrats. Now, if you were to apply, we understand there's about 20 to 25 million illegals throughout the country. And if you take that 20 to 25 million illegals and you divide that up to about how many congressional seats that would be extra throughout America, that's 33 more congressional seats and electoral votes for Democrats. So that alone by itself is so wrong and so gerrymandered by Democrats. And now if you're not clear why they wanted illegals here, now you should be crystal clear. It's not because they empathize and they sympathize. It's because they are using you. They are using the illegals for their votes. Not only are they using them for their votes, they're using them for cheap labor. They're using them to take advantage because they know that when you're illegal, you're easy to take advantage of. So that's what's happening with that.
Right, and it's par for the course. It's the same thing. It's history. You know, they years ago they were after the black vote.
Yes.
They bowed down. And they created programs and schooling and everything in the inner city schools.
Yes.
The gangs. They created all kinds of gang programs and so forth because again they were catering for the vote, not
Yes.
because they cared, but it
Yes.
was all for the vote. Now, luckily, because of social media, I think the African American communities have realized that they aren't really for the Democrats.
Yes.
And I think many of them feel kind of like they've been pushed aside. The black
Yes.
vote isn't as important anymore. Now it's the Hispanic vote.
Well, one of the things I think social media has done is social media has made it actually in a lot of ways better for the conservative.
Right.
The fact that social media and the podcast, they're getting so much information out, even with all the lies that they're spewing through all these social media outlets, because you got all these social media outlets that are supposed to be pro-Hispanic or pro-Chicano or pro-whatever.
Right,
And
right.
you're looking at the massive amount of stuff that they're putting out that is just inaccurate
Right.
information,
and
it's
hate again.
very
It's created to divide, almost
very
to divide,
hateful
not-
and very divisive. It's nothing with facts and just trying to get information out that's informational. It's just to be divisive and to be hateful. And so much of it is just inaccurate. And we see this over and over. But if it wasn't for the fact that podcasting and the social media, we wouldn't be able to get this information out, which is, and one of the things also, Republicans have always been really bad also with being able to fight the information war.
Right.
And
right.
yeah.
It's almost that they hold them at a different standard. If they debate them or if they question them, oh, it's racist. You're
Right.
saying this because it's racist because
Exactly.
you're going against this nationality or this
Right.
ethnicity or this group or this religion, and so. It's almost like the hands are tied.
Yes.
You don't want to say anything because you don't want to be labeled.
Yes, and a lot of
that you're prejudiced or
exactly.
and that is what I think has kept a lot of the Republicans.
I think also too,
Quiet.
because usually Republicans are they're conservative,
Right.
and they're usually faith based,
Right.
And we're getting more faith based people involved, but it took a lot to get them involved. Look at what happened to the churches during COVID; they were shut down, and a lot of churches realized that they need to start getting involved, and they do need to get involved. The Bible explicitly talks about people being involved in government, and it's very important to be involved in government. There's a lot of pastors starting to speak up, and people need to speak up because you know what? if you don't speak up, you have to represent your church. If you want your church to be represented, you have to be involved.
Right. And again, this proposition, like so many other things, the lack of valid information.
Yeah.
They give half truth. Protecting their well-being is, and us, bad Trump is
Right.
trying to take away, is trying to control.
Yes.
It's trying to control who's going to go to Sacramento, or who's going to be elected, and who's going to represent.
Right.
And they're so they're not being well informed that this. What Governor Newsom is going to do, what it's going to do is it's going to hurt the communities. It's going to divide the communities. Mm-hmm. It's going to take away their voice.
Yes.
Yes. Because of the way they're going to split them up.
Yeah.
It's going to be minorities. And this thing about they're saying it's temporary.
Nothing's ever. It's like a temporary tax, right? It's like every time they say it's a tax, that's going to be temporary. It's never temporary. When they get more power, they don't like losing that power once they get that power. Right. But it is something that I think people really need to understand, and I agree with you. I think Gavin Newsom is using this as an opportunity to create even more divisiveness and more racial tensions. And this has nothing to do. In fact, what it's doing is undoing racial districting that was done,
right.
And it's undoing what was done
to make done by the constituents here in the state of California.
And it is up to every state to do what we did if they don't like the way their state is doing something. It's not up to other states to go in and say, because a different state is doing something, we're gonna have I don't know what would be the word, where we're going to undo what a different state. It's like that state makes their own. Every state makes their own laws.
Exactly.
And so we made a law here to hire a committee to do the redistricting, because we don't trust the politicians to do it fairly. That's why we did it. And then what's happening? We have a politician, a governor that is trying to take that power back that we took away from him and all the other politicians, because we don't trust you. And you're doing exactly what we tried to avoid. And you're undoing what we did, because what you're saying of what Texas is doing and what you're saying Texas is doing is really not what Texas is doing. You're lying about what Texas is doing.
Exactly. And they're making it sound that they're going to protect the districts. They're going to protect California. And so I used to go to Mexico what they're doing all the time is for the betterment. I know the character or the you always look at the especially for the Hispanic. I watch Alex. I started seeing more on his commercials, and I just this guy. People from all over. I don't understand Hispanics. I just don't understand him. Where the way he speaks, going on in school, like letting boys and little girls. I understand him, but the previous I always wondered Mexican why politicians,
he's an
Americanos, like
hands
men saying exactly, because they're not they're out there. My gosh, that they're representing teaching little boys how to be. They are not representing anybody. That is totally against benefit them. What their upbringing. And yet I heard with Alex, no controversy, no Proposition 50. I was sitting there yelling or anything, going, that's when I learned that it's because the information, the way it's done, the way it's what they're going to tell the commission started. It was like it started, I think, in 2008, just like this Proposition 50, the way it's being delivered. But that being delivered was made of people from different. He's like Governor Newsom is protecting different religions, everything. And they made the decisions. They created these districts. And now Gavin Newsom just wants to come in and just say, okay, no, we don't want these. And he wants to erase all the lines and then just kind of make his own. And it's not going to be for the betterment of the state of California. It's going to be for the betterment of the politicians. That's all it is.
Exactly.
It's a power grab. And that's something that the Hispanics need to, or Mexicans or whatever, they need to know what the truth is and how it's going to affect them. And they're not getting that information on TV.
Right.
They are not getting that information on TV. Although I was pleasantly surprised, I've seen two commercials, or I've seen one commercial twice. That was against in Spanish. Which was I was shocked that I saw something that was finally
Right.
and again the way the commercial was a very passive commercial, and they briefly discussed, but they didn't discuss in depth what exactly the negative outcome that would happen if this Proposition 50
Yes.
passes.
And